What's up? And welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez. And we got our special guest, Dequan Washington.
Brother Dequan Washington.
Brother Dequan.
Brother.
Dequan is the author of The Limitless Mind, The Purpose, Principles, and Power of the Mind.
Yes.
Which you guys can see
sir.
here.
Yes.
Welcome.
So we're excited.
Appreciate you guys having me here.
Yeah,
Nice.
we want to
My
get
first
in.
podcast.
Is it?
Yes.
Very cool.
We're popping the podcast cherry.
This is so interesting.
Podcast
I
cherry.
hear myself and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
First podcast, but not the last.
Yes.
Nice.
So we've known each other for a while. I didn't realize when actually you contacted me from Instagram,
Yes.
right? And that's how we started talking back and forth. And then you're like, we used to work Legal Shield together.
Yeah. Did you completely forget who I was?
I did. Like I wasn't sure, and then I went back and then I started looking over your profile.
Well, we never have had a conversation. Like usually when the events would happen, I would walk in and, people coming in and I would say hi to you. You say hi to me, but I don't know. We never had a conversation. So,
Yeah.
So now
and my hairline has migrated from my head to my face.
So it's a little different now. And you know what? She's also horrible at remembering. Like sometimes.
Thanks, babe.
No,
Throw me under the bus.
All right. I'm not going to say exactly where just in case this person's listening. But there was a time where we were coming back from somewhere. And this is a person, like we've been to their house a few times. And we've talked and we've had a good time.
Yeah.
And, we're coming from somewhere and we're like, we got the kids with us. And they're like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, hey, what's up? And Sonja's like, hey, you.
Okay, wait. To defend myself,
How you guys?
hold on. To defend myself, usually when we see this person, he's dressed down. He's dressed down like in cargo shorts.
All right.
And this time he was, like he was dressed professional, and it's just.
She was getting on you about that earlier.
She's like, hey, man, what's going on?
And it was so crazy though because he really knew us, like,
Wow.
And I was like, but we just got off too of
Yeah. Anyway.
the flight.
I'm bad at faces too, but
Anyways, I'm excited to have you here and talk about,
I appreciate it.
your book and dive deep into your soul because you have an
man.
old soul, my friend.
You said an old soul?
You have an old. So he's only 25, you said, right?
26.
26.
But I like it. I'll take
26? Yeah.
26. Yes, but
You know what? We could talk about some of the millennial stuff. Because you know what? I'm a millennial.
you can't claim that.
But I'm like on the I'm at the cutoff.
You're right there. You're
I'm at the cutoff where it's
barely
like
reaching.
barely, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything bad. It's just different sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, millennials are about to be running the whole country pretty soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're very passionate about. I mean,
Yeah.
your book. I mean, how did your book come about? Like, did you always know that you were going to write a book? I mean, where did this come from?
Dude, that came from a long history, a whole lot of stuff. But I think that for me, I was like, okay, you know what? Like, if I could try to solve the world's problems, like if I could solve millennials' problems, like what would I think is the greatest issue in the world? And obviously there is a lot of different things, but I think one of the big major things
Yeah.
is people's mentality, mindsets. Like literally, if I could give you a quick little analogy, it would be like, let's say, for example, I actually heard this story. I'm pretty sure it's a true story, but there's this guy who owned a dog.
Uh-huh.
He had it leashed onto a tree. He would take a slab of meat, right? And he would put it just far away enough to where the dog couldn't get to the meat. Like he would try to get to it and fighting for it. And then after he would struggle, the dog would eventually give up. And the guy would do this repetitively over and over again until the dog eventually wouldn't fight anymore. So one day he takes the leash off the dog and he puts the meat on the ground, and the dog just comes over, looks at it, looks at him, doesn't do anything. Because in his mind, he thinks he's still stuck. And that's how people are.
You know what? I heard something similar about that with elephants.
Elephants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Have you heard that?
No.
So like how they train the elephants, like they'll chain an elephant so that it can't escape. And then it tries to escape, but it can't. And then eventually it's it's mentally is broken down so much that you could just tie it down with a rope and it won't get away. Like it'll feel just the tiniest bit of tension and just give up.
It's wow.
Yeah.
On that right there, like just, okay, for example, the elephant, big, massive, powerful creature. You could tie that thing up. That thing should be able to break off like nothing, right? And that's how like people are. We have so much potential, so much like explosive power in us.
Yeah.
And we suppress it with our mentality, like
fear,
pain, heartbreak, miseducation. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
And so how long ago, because just talking to you earlier,
you can pull it up.
You felt you always knew that you were going to write a book. Like you always knew that that was in your future.
Was it?
No. Well, when I was, I think it was either 7th grade or 8th grade. Actually, my grades were so horrible. Like actually, pretty much my whole life until the end of high school, my grades were like Fs all the time. And nice. I had to take this little class, right? What?
But yeah, I see. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can't relate.
Straight
Sorry.
Dude, horrible, man. And so my grandpa would always be yelling at me. I grew up with my grandpa, but I had I remember one day I was brought into this room with like a psychologist or somebody. It was like some woman, and they had me doing these little tests and puzzles and answering questions and stuff. And then by the end of this whole process, they were like, okay, Dequan has a reading and writing disability. And so throughout 8th grade and then the rest of high school, I was with the special education students.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So my self-esteem was so like low, because I was so embarrassed that, you know, my friends are playing football and all these things, and you know, all the girls are chasing them. I'm with like special education, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just sitting there one day, and I'm like, I don't got a disability, man. I think I'm just lazy.
Yeah, like straight up,
literally. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. My next, actually, I was a super senior.
Yeah,
so I had
me too.
You were. That's what's up.
Hell yeah. Do you know what a super senior is?
I'm a special senior. I'm thinking 2nd year.
No,
like you
exactly.
were. Yeah,
you're a
special senior.
What do you think a super senior is?
I got nothing to say.
Okay.
I got nothing to say. I married one.
when you don't graduate and you got to do senior year over again.
I know, but he said, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, I married one, so
yeah."
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. So in my brain, okay, don't get me wrong. Like, I do think that there are people who have disabilities and stuff like that. I don't think that I have a disability. I mean, obviously, shoot, I'll be honest. You could read my book. You might see some missing commas in there. There might be a few misspelled words, but I can guarantee the content in the book will impact your life. And I thought, you know, because I was always like into learning. I was in a desperate pursuit of trying to figure out, like, what is this life? Like, literally, I would ditch class to go and pray and read in the Bible in the bathroom.
Wow.
And like the security guard, he eventually, like, I would get in trouble, but eventually he was like, okay, this guy ditches class all the time, that he didn't even care. So he would just want to debate with me about things to do with spirituality. But I wanted so much to know truth and what my potential was as a young man. And that, like, I'm being so serious, guys. Like, I would literally, when I would get out of school, I would go out into the desert fields near my house where no one could see me, and I would literally like cry out for answers.
Really?
And after getting wisdom and learning and reading books and getting to know people and getting mentors and stuff like that, finally I'm like, dude, I think I can help my own people, the millennials and stuff. So over time, I was like, okay, you know what? One day I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna figure it out, and literally just did it. Start typing.
So you go from somebody from that was in special education to writing a book.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what you would typically think. Like somebody that was in special ed and they're an author.
Yeah. Well, you know? I think this is it. And Lisa Nichols, who's absolutely amazing. Do you know who she is?
No.
Oh, she has just an amazing story. And as a child, the teachers would talk down to her. like you're not going to amount to anything, and just
crap.
really bad. And they would always say, oh, she's very sweet, but not very smart.
Right.
And she was like, I know I didn't have a disability. This is when, and then now she's a multimillionaire. But she shares her story, Lisa Nichols.
I gotta let that.
She shares her story, and she's like, I just learned different. She's like, but they, in school, they put us all together and expect us all to learn on the same playing field.
Yeah.
When all of us were so different.
Mm-hmm.
The way we learn is different. But if you learn different, then something's wrong with you.
Yeah. Actually, I speak exactly what you're saying. I speak about, there's a chapter in there that I call Millennial Crisis. Mm-hmm. And basically, like, I'm not going against anybody. If someone wants to go to college, go to college. If there's a way for you that you're trying to find success, go about it. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but what I am saying is some people can't sit at a desk and try to memorize answers and not actually learn. You're just memorizing. That's what I was doing.
That's all it is. That's all it is memorizing.
Yeah.
I'm memorizing whatever's on the kid's paper next to me and putting it on my paper.
Man. And actually, this is, I wasn't even thinking about saying this. This actually may sound weird, but like one of the reasons why I dropped out of college was because I was like, well, I cheated throughout school. So I was like, would that be ethical of me to cheat through school and then, get a career down the road through college? So that's just like,
you felt internal that, I get what you're saying.
So I
don't feel that. I'll get that degree and I'll use it and I'll figure it out.
That was me.
I'm just saying.
You slept better at night. Making that decision.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
He wears the horns. I have the halo.
That's the opposite. But so were you spiritual growing up with your grandparents and all that?
My grandfather, he brought my brothers and I to a Baptist church when I far back as I can remember, like 6th grade.
You're from Arizona originally?
Yeah, in Arizona. It was like a small little Baptist church, a bunch of black folk running around, screaming, hooting, hollering,
singing.
Like, it was fun. Me and my brothers would kind of laugh and be like, "Oh, look at her! Oh man, she's jumping! Oh." But so I kind of saw not God as a joke, but the people who claim to know God.
Gotcha.
And and eventually I started going to like different churches with my friends, which was amazing. Like I learned a lot about like morals and good character and stuff. But I was really going for the girls and stuff. I was like, oh man, if I can get myself one of these Christian girls, they're more loyal. But that's not true.
Yeah.
But anyways, to answer your question, spiritual, I went to church, but it wasn't until I could honestly say probably like my 9th grade or so that I was like, you know what? Maybe I should learn more about God. And because I became very, very legalistic at one point.
Yeah,
like, I was that kid in the Bible study that would answer all the questions. I could quote all the verses. I could, I was that guy. But then I realized, I was like, dude, when I'm talking to people on the street or getting to know people, I had this mentality that I can't conversate with you unless we're talking about God at some point in the conversation. That used to be my mindset. I was like so legalistic that like people didn't want to be around me. I'm telling you, I was so
you were preaching all the time and
God, Holy Ghost, fire, hell.
So you were like living by the Bible, for the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did that last?
Probably till, I still believe the word of God, but like not in that crazy.
I know, that's where I want to,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But how long were you living for the Bible, in the Bible?
Like to the word.
Yes.
To the word. Still do, but I don't think that God created religion. You know what I mean?
Right. So what do you?
So I don't want to say I identify like as a Christian, but I do believe that there is a creator who lives and breathes throughout everybody, all things, right? And when I look at the scripture, I don't see even Jesus. I don't see a religious man. You know, he's over there hanging out with the prostitutes, but I don't think he was doing nothing with them.
That's what I'm talking about.
No, he was there to help. He was there, you know, because even in Matthew, he says, you know, what good is it to love those that are easy to love?
Yes.
God is not looking for the righteous ones. He's looking for the sinners.
I think that if Christ was if he was here today, like on earth, I think he'd be on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, chilling, hanging out, whatever. Like, I truly believe that. But a lot of religious folks that I grew up around will be like, no, he tried to be president. He's going to set things in order. He has a government on his shoulder. God's going to come with thunder. It's like, dude, that stuff is.
But what woke you up? Because you and I were talking about this. And I was telling you, like, when I started to just open up more and I started questioning, and he knows, like, I started to feel, I'm like, you know, going to church right now, I can't, because I feel like a hypocrite because of what, you know, the battle that I'm going through internally.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to question, I started to feel so sick to my stomach that I had to stop reading the Bible. Remember, I was talking to you about this. Like, believing, you know, if Jesus Christ is the only way, and how is it that there's all these, you know, other gods, and how is it that our way is the only way? And so when you started to think about these things, did you get to that point to where you were just like you didn't know what to do, a confused mind? And when did that happen?
Yeah. I can remember, I think was it 2010 or 11. I remember when my grandpa would be gone at work, and then I would get home from school, and I'll come and home, and sometimes I'll just like pray and read the Bible when I was at home. And I remember like being in so much fear, like, of hell. And I remember reading this passage in the Word of God that like put fear into me because I interpreted it wrong. I can't quote whatever it is, but I just remember there was this time where I was like in so much fear, and but it wasn't until
a lot of fear and a lot of guilt.
Dude,
I'm
telling you, like, I know a lot of people, they have stories of like, oh yeah, I came out of drug addiction, or I was homeless on the street, or like, for me, I'm coming from a place of like a religious torment.
Yeah. Like, people have depression and different things. I was experiencing a depression in my faith.
That was me in 2018, the beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
And another thing, like, I tried to set people free and hear about that, because I there's a section in there called the superstitious mentality. So just to like kind of make a short version of it, a superstitious mentality or religious mentality would be like, okay, for example, let's say that you believe in God, but everything about your life is revolved around what you think you know about God. So let's say, for example, you'll be like, in your head, you're like, okay, how do I get closer to God? Okay, I need to get rid of Facebook. But God didn't say that. He didn't tell you that that's you, but you think that it's God. And that's what I was doing. Okay, get rid of Facebook. Okay. Oh man, I want to see what my friends are doing. I want to, should I do it? Oh, that's a temptation. Oh man, okay, I'm playing Call of Duty. Oh man, dude, I'm gonna kill you, bro.
I'm gonna kill you, bro.
I can't be killing people.
There's blood in this game. Oh man, let me shut the game off. And you eat, like, as time progresses, you'll be like, okay, don't eat that certain food. And I honestly believe that that's how religion has formed, like in different denominations.
Yeah,
it is man's attempt to try and find God, but I don't think it's like that.
Have you heard of Modest Yahoo, the artist?
Who's that?
He's a Jewish artist. Oh man, he's got the song "One Day." It's really if I play it, you'll know exactly who it is, because it's a huge song. He's got a bunch of big songs, but he was a Hasidic Jew when he was mainstream, and like, he would do concerts and shows. I was just watching this thing on Sway in the morning, the radio station.
I don't
Shade 4-5. Anyway, it's a big radio show, but he was on there, and he just like looked completely different. And back in the day when he used to do his shows, he had, you know, the suit with the beard, the hair, like he was straight up, you know, he looked exactly what you would think of a Hasidic Jew.
Right.
And he was on this show, clean shaven, just looked completely different. He was asking him like, what happened? And he was like, that for 10 years, that was his life. Like it was 100% by what the Bible said. Wow. And at a certain point, you know, like he would go to a show and people would be so excited to see him, and he would they would come up to take a picture with him, and the guys would come in and he would, you know, put his arm around them, and then the girls would come over and they were just as excited as the guys were, and he was like, hold up, I can't touch you.
Oh God. So
he would stand there just with his hands by his sides, you know, and they would just be standing next to him. But with the guys, he can put his arm. But he was like, there's nothing sexual. They're fans. Yeah. They want to come say hi. He's like, but I can't even, like they spent their money to come here. Like I can't even put my arm around them to show appreciation or whatever, to take a picture. He's like, and then he was talking about his beard. And like there's, I can't remember exactly, but there's a symbolism and a reason for growing the beard.
Yeah.
And he was like, but this is my face. He's like, one day he just realized, he's like, this is my face.
Right.
He's like, I can shave this beard if I want to.
Yeah.
And at that point, he's like, he still follows, but he's like, it just kind of opened his eyes. And he's like, you know what? I can follow to a point. And then there's things that are mine. They're my decision to make.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Like, I'll be real with you guys. Because when I tell people this, they think that I'm saying like, okay, so you don't follow the Bible? No, like I do. But for example, actually, this is something we talked about. You hear a scripture like, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. See, when you start reading it in that old English, you start getting kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It puts fear in you. But that literally that word right there in that Greek translation, repent, means to change your way of thinking.
Yeah.
And the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Like basically, if I were to sum it up, change your way of thinking. Heaven is here.
Exactly. Him and I were talking about like, do you believe in heaven? Do you believe in hell? And I was telling him, I feel that we live, like we create our heaven or our hell. Mm-hmm. You know, and it could be mentally as well. And a lot of it is mental.
Well, we were talking about when we were coming back from church one day, because I'm not religious or spiritual. And we were talking about how sometimes people are like, well, aren't you scared of going to hell? Yeah. I was like, not if I don't believe in hell. You know, it's like, if it's not real to me, then I have nothing to worry about, you know, but I don't know, the morality and everything. I mean, like we've talked about before, there's a lot of good things in the Bible. There's some things that I don't agree with, but there's a lot of great things in there. And the way I see it is like, it's a collection of stories that you can learn from.
Right.
You know, just like we talk about this Navy SEAL, the Jocko book, they got a kid's book, and it's a great book, but it's a fictional book, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned. Yeah. And I may not agree with every single thing that's in that book, but you can still learn from it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
What's that?
Huh?
What? Who said what?
Who said,
I'm hearing things now. God's talking.
My voice is deep.
But no, that's just
that's amazing.
He has a lot, like when it comes to the Old Testament, and because he always, that's where, a conflict, I think, with you arise. But the New Testament,
I just got a lot of questions.
Like with Noah's Ark and Adam and Eve, and we were talking about
go catch 2 tigers and let me know how that works out for you.
And he's like, you can't catch 2 or put 2 of our, he was talking about my girl dog, the pit that you've seen. He's like, and I don't know. I'm just
out. It's all me. Big old black guy. No, kidding.
But anyways, this podcast isn't about us, but that's next week, and we have so much to share. But I just wanted to read. So again, you guys, the name of his book is The Limitless Mind, The Purpose, Principles, and Power of the Mind. And I just want to read.
You can pick that up on
Amazon.
Yep.
You know what's
For
a great way to shop on
$14.99.
Amazon is if you go to oppositesattractpod.com and you click on the support the show tab at the top, you'll see a link to Amazon and you can pick up the book. We're also going to put a link to the book in the notes for the show. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, it'll be in the links to the video. So if you want to pick up the book, you can pick it up there. It helps all of us out.
Yes.
And it doesn't cost you anything extra.
0. So in your book, it says the limitless mind.
All right, hand it over.
It is the key to unlocking one's full potential in all areas of life, mentally, physically, and spiritually. The limitless way of thinking will eliminate the fear of failure, procrastination, bad habits, destroy laziness, give you a sense of purpose and meaning in life. Like just reading that paragraph in itself, I think everyone should read this book. Like,
I really appreciate it. And I also want to make this like very clear. This is not a religious book.
Yeah.
This is like all self-development, and especially, dude, for my kind, man, the millennials, man.
Yeah.
Got a lot of guys that like I hang out with, and it's interesting. And I would highly recommend that you write a book, especially if people ask you for advice a lot.
Yes.
Because it's like you become a mentor in multiple places at the same time through a book.
I like that.
And then even
That's
after you're
interesting.
dead, like your voice is still out there. I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
I love that.
We've talked about that before. Like really becoming, sounds kind of weird, but becoming immortal.
Immortal, omnipresent.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, you're watching this, you're listening to this. This is going to be, the internet's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless North Korea sends a missile or something. I don't know. But
Really?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, like it's out there, But yeah, that's another way to do it.
Yeah. So basically, like, I talk about being miseducated, like, and I'm not just talking about school either. Like, it can even be like within your home, your parents, your friends, your peers. Like, a child, their first teachers are their parents.
Yeah.
And then when you grow up and you're not around your parents all the time, you're hanging out with your friend, you start to get their ideas, their philosophies and stuff.
Education as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so basically, like, it's about breaking down the person's mentality. Like, literally, if I could just be like, give you an extreme way of explaining it, taking out our little 3-pound brain, right? And then replacing it with a new mind. Because, like, there is so much junk being vomited all over people on the media, on the news.
Yeah.
There's so much. And I'm not trying to be like a political guy or anything, but I believe that people, they have like this potential in them. And when it's suppressed, it's like those are the things that bring depression on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the media has done a good job at destroying itself here recently. Because people just know that it's a joke, because how could it be like Trump is the greatest, Trump is the worst? It's like, all right.
Which one do you believe?
And it doesn't matter that doesn't matter on the president, because it could have been Obama, the same thing. Obama's the worst, Obama's the greatest. Like, all right, well, I'm sure both of them have done some things that are great, some things that you probably don't agree with. But you can't look at one and follow that, because if you look at the other, like the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So
do you guys? I got a question for you guys. So, like, what do you guys think about not just millennials, but like, and not even just Americans, but the state of mankind as a whole? Like, obviously, there's a lot of things happening, right? There's wars and there's a lot happening.
Yeah,
people breaking all kinds of weird laws. Hey, what do you think that there is a root cause to that?
I believe what you believe.
What the hell?
No, well, because him and I were talking, right? Like, we were talking about, the suicide rate and just,
what have you done with my wife?
With everything.
He brainwashed her.
Shut up. Like everything
Me too,
that's
Dequan.
happening
I believe
in
whatever
social
you
media. Well, not whatever you believe, but,
and all of you out there listening, you believe what Dequan believes too.
Him and I had a very good conversation before the podcast. We were on the phone for like an hour or so just talking about.
It is amazing. Well, what do you think?
I have hope for people. You know, the thing is that you can't, like I said, you can't go off of social media. You can't go off of what you see out there because people are attracted to negative stuff.
Right.
You know, and if there's a lot of, like, let's say you click on something on social media and it's something negative, not that Facebook is evil, but Facebook knows the algorithms and they know what you clicked on. So they're going to show you more of whatever you clicked on.
Right.
And I think it was a podcast that I was listening to like last week, and it was on Joe Rogan, and they were talking about how one of his friends had, like, how people are saying like Facebook is rigging things. And he was like, well, one of his friends, he decided that he was going to click on only like puppies and kitten videos. And then all of a sudden, he's getting nothing but puppies and kitten videos.
Right.
It's not that they're rigging stuff, it's they're giving you what you want. Right. You know, and if that's what you're looking at, that's what you're going to get more of.
Wow.
And if you're clicking on negative shit all the time, you know, and eventually, subconsciously, it's going to have an effect on you.
Yeah.
If that's what you constantly take in.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think that, well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, if your Facebook is all negative, all, it's because I don't think mine is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I get a lot of positive feedback on our, you know, on my Facebook.
I get a lot of prank videos.
But I think too, like, it's
that's what
not
you're
so
in.
much the positive though too. Like, I have women and friends who, you know, social media, if you go on there and if you're there all day, every day, and you see everybody having a great time, receiving promotions, going on vacation, and it's this nothing but good things that are happening, and you're like, well, why am I doing so shitty? Why am I so depressed?
I'm guilty.
Why am I, you know what I'm saying? Comparing yourself to, you know, if we're having a bad day or someone's having a bad day, they're not putting that on Facebook. Yeah. And that's what
we
the
all
thing,
know
like,
that.
I try to do is when I have those crappy days, like, I put it on Facebook. Yeah. I'll do a Facebook Live, right?
Yeah.
I'll do a Facebook Live because I want people to know that, you know, life's not perfect. We're not perfect.
Well, we had an argument on here
You
a
know?
couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Really? What
I
about?
mean, yeah. You want to start that up again? Let's do it. She doesn't listen, and she disrespected me. And,
No, he doesn't listen, and then I disrespected him.
And I don't play that.
But you know what's so funny? Like, listen, my sister and her husband were watching that podcast. I just told him to listen, and he put a comment like, "Look, they're not perfect. They're actually having an argument on the podcast." She's like, "They're not arguing. They're communicating something that we need to do more of."
We were arguing.
You guys posted a video about that recently.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I watched it.
No, we were arguing.
Yeah,
We weren't communicating.
yeah. But you know, and that's why I you know enjoy. I love this, you know, the foundation. Because we're able to be real.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah,
So
what's up?
when it comes to social media, I was actually thinking about this recently, but I've been thinking about it in the past. Because I was like, okay, I don't know if this would be a good way to market whatever it is, whether it be a book or whatever. But I was like, what if I share everything? Like, not because, I mean, you go on my social media, you know, you see me in suits and fur coats and stuff. What if I share with people like the hard things I'm dealing with? I don't know. You ever thought about that?
But
people would be like, oh, he's negative. Oh.
Well, you don't want to be like, when I do my Facebook Lives, I talk about what it is that I'm going through. I see what you're saying. Oh, he's too negative. I don't want to see him.
Well,
but it's like just being vulnerable. It's being vulnerable.
But I mean, if life's not always like rainbows and butterflies and all that, I mean, just because you're going through a tough time doesn't mean that you're negative.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know, like, you can still be like, look, this is what's going down right now. It's all good.
Yeah.
And it could still be a positive out of a negative.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember one time, like 2015, I worked at Home Depot, and I try to be kind to everybody, all the customers.
Yeah.
Anything you ask me to do, I basically do it. And then I remember literally, someone, I think one of the managers asked me, like, what do you think about, because I got a new position, right, in the paint department. They asked me, what do you think about this position? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's all right, you know, because I kind of liked being outside, pushing carts, helping people load stuff into their cars and stuff. And just me simply just saying, I don't know, it's all right or whatever. I remember that spread so fast, and all my coworkers were like, Dequan, you don't like it in the paint department? Do you want to go back outside again? And everyone was talking about it. And then people were like, are you planning on quitting and leaving? And I was like, whoa. And I remember I kept track of that in my head. I was like, one little word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what social media is. You just had it in life form.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, yeah, I see what you're saying. But I think, like in your case, like we were talking about, being genuine sometimes is like, I think there's something that people can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, like when we post our argument, like people that think that, hey, shit is perfect all the time. It's like, no, it's not. We argue, I wouldn't say all the time, but we have arguments just like everybody else. It's not the 1 hour that you see that we post a week on the podcast.
Yeah.
This isn't what it is all the time. I mean, we have arguments about the stuff that we talk about. I mean, this is the thing is that everybody, I've told you this, but everybody knows exactly what you need to do. Everybody. You know exactly. Right. You know that you need to put that fucking hamburger
That's a
down.
good point.
You need to, you need to take those $20 and put them in the savings account. Everybody knows all this shit already. You don't need any secrets. You don't need any, I mean, it's just the truth. You just got to do what you know you need to do.
Right.
That is a good point.
We try to give some of that advice, but we do our best to follow our own advice, but nobody's perfect.
Wow.
Right.
We slip up and all the time.
Wow.
That's just what it is.
That is amazing. Do you guys watch UFC at all?
Yeah, all the time.
Have you watched one of Conor McGregor's recent interviews?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, but probably.
Well, he basically, he's been chilling with that Tony Robbins guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw the, yeah. I told
And,
Sonia.
And I remember he was saying, because I can get advice out of an MMA fighter as well. Like,
Yeah. And a cartoon.
Yeah, she does that all the time.
So basically, I remember I heard Conor McGregor saying, that with the fight that he just had, that with this one, he did everything that was in his internal, what he knew he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I thought that was so interesting because you saw how quick he took that dude out.
Yeah. 40 seconds, it was over.
40 seconds. And I'm like, and Conor McGregor, he's my boy. Like, I would love to meet that dude one day. He always talks about law of attraction and different things, but and he's wildly successful. I was going to ask you guys, like, do you think that, what is true success? Because a lot of people think you got $1 million, you got a Lamborghini, you got the hot chick, whatever it is, or the hot guy. Like, what do you guys define as true success? What is success?
Well, I think we're going to have different answers to that. But for me, it's having internal peace and joy. I want to serve the many. I want to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And however I go about that, I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
But for me, I just want to make a difference. I want to help people. I want to help them find what I have found, which is having that internal joy and just peace and love. And the money's going to be secondary. For me, money is not a focus. Though I would love more because then I can give more. Mm-hmm. And that is my goal, to make so much so that I can give much more.
Is that something that, like, you feel like
it's in my core, it's in my gut, and I know that it's my purpose to do just that. And my family comes first. Uh-huh. I say faith, family, finance, fitness. It's Team New Visions as well. That's their
from Legal Shield.
Model. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, but it fits me well. Like, because that is it. It's faith, family, finance, fitness.
Amazing.
And so I got the amazing family. Like, I got the family. Like, I feel that the only thing that I'm waiting for at this point, and I continue to do personal development, self-awareness.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's very difficult. Self-awareness, working on yourself
4 books a month
is the hardest Oh, you got to share that.
Yeah.
Is the hardest thing ever. Because I know that there's some things that have been holding me back that have to do with my childhood that I don't remember. And that is what I'm working on right now, is being able to heal that part of my life.
Yeah.
Because I know once that heals, God's going to reveal the next step to me. So I'm so excited about that aspect and what's happening right now in my life. But I have the family. I have the love.
Yeah, that is so good.
Yeah.
What about you? I got my
I think
own,
we talked about a little bit before we started the show, but like I feel like, and I've mentioned to you, like I feel like we are a success.
Yeah,
we are a success already, and just because like if I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my family. Happy with all the things that we've done. If we've lost it, as long as we're together, we're good.
Yes.
So that's to me it's already a success.
Yeah.
And it's also something that progresses. Like, I mean, we're still working on it.
Right.
And, like in the future, being able to, grow this podcast but even still, no matter what, like,
I
we're
got
good.
you, babe.
We're good. Yeah. So,
yeah. That's
but I
amazing.
think when you put something, when you put something specific, like, when I get a Lamborghini, I'm successful.
Yeah.
Or when I get like at that's not, you're not going to be happy.
No.
That's not, you got to find something else, something that's inside.
It's bigger than you.
Like, that's the thing. I'm like, I mean, that was my mentality. Like, I wanted all that material stuff, and I still kind of do a little bit.
Yeah.
But that, I don't think that defines success. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to help, people to like figure out what that is. And I've come up with what I think is success. And if I were to like try to simplify it, but basically, for example, a bird has wings. If the bird never uses its wings, which is its purpose to fly, it basically is a failure. And so when you were talking about like the purpose thing, like purpose, you got your family and trying to help people. Like, if you're not doing your purpose, then at that point you're a failure. But not actually having the thing, but in the process and just doing the thing itself. Like, it's not, in my mind, I don't think success is like, once I hit this mark, I am successful.
Yeah.
It's like you already are. You're just fulfilling it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yep.
it's something that kind of, for me, helped me to relax a little bit.
Have you looked into Buddhism at all?
Nah, honestly, I don't know too much about it. I know there's a dude sitting on a
the fat bald dude. Yeah. No, you should look into it. It's super interesting. Like, I mean, when you think about it, because it's not a religion, it's more of a philosophy. It's a way of living.
Life. Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is based off of it's based off of suffering, like how life is suffering, and to like the only way, it's like how to rid yourself of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And like the material things, like when you want material things, all that does is bring you suffering.
Right.
So if you get that out of your mind, then you can, like, you don't have that. Mm-hmm. Like I have to get that Ferrari. All it does is bring you more pain, bring you more suffering, because unless you get that, you're not happy.
Exactly.
Mm.
And I'm butchering it, but it's super interesting. And in that book that we're listening to, did you catch that?
Yes.
Like
he
he talks
get
about
to choose
you
your
get to
pain.
choose your pain. You get
Right.
to choose your suffering. Yeah.
Like he says, if you want a happy marriage, right? You got to go through some things. You got to go through the challenges.
So you can choose the suffering of neglecting your marriage or neglecting your relationships, and then you have that suffering, or you can have the suffering of dealing with the situations that come up, facing them head on. That's also suffering, but
Right.
that will also enrich your relationship.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
And that's, with everything, with money, the suffering of, you're going to spend all the money and then you'll always be suffering, or putting that money away and you can't enjoy the good stuff right now, but eventually it frees you from the suffering.
Dude, that is a good, dude, I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You should read we're listening
Buddhism?
to the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's this audio. It's the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah,
and he talks about it in
that's so
there.
weird. I think I just saw an ad before I got here on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like Orange and Black.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great book. We're both listening to it right now. So it's been great. Don't talk about it right now.
Okay.
Because there's a lot. No, there's a lot to get into. Yeah. You know,
no, but it is a great book. And we'll get into it on another podcast, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. But another book that you should go out and get is The Limitless Mind.
Right?
By Dequan Washington.
Power.
The Limitless Mind, The Purpose, Principles, and Power.
Power
of the mind. So
of the mind.
So let's talk a little bit about the millennials, because we've talked about millennials on our podcast before. And you know what? Sometimes I think especially, well, of course, with older folk, older people
get a bad rep.
They get a bad rep. But man, when you think about it,
people get a bad rep.
No, well, how does that work? Do millennials?
The older people
get a bad rap from millennials?
From millennials?
Yeah.
Well,
because you always hear it the other way around. The people that are older are always talking shit about the millennials. Like,
you
know what? They're lazy. Why don't you go get a job? You know.
You know what? Okay, just really quick, and then I'll let you. Whose fault is it? If we're blaming the millennials for being that way, who raised them?
Oh, damn.
No, but I know, right? Because I'm not one.
There's a lot of older people listening to this podcast like, oh God, that hurt.
Oh man.
But
how dare you, Sonja? I'm turning this off right now.
Because am I right, wrong? I don't know.
You know what?
I don't know.
No offense, but I honestly think that like it has to do with the fathers. The father. I don't even really think it's like a woman thing. Like, I honestly think that like fatherless people, and I'm not talking about just the father not being present. I'm talking about like you can be even present, but the father's not really
present.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Like they're just around.
Yeah, because I won't say that.
But is it okay that he's speaking more? I mean, your voice travels, but I just want to make sure
Gotcha.
You're not too low.
But yeah, I honestly think that like, well, actually to answer your question about do millennials get a bad rep from the older generation, I think so. But the thing is like, the problems that millennials have, like narcissism and laziness, and everybody wants that Instagram lifestyle, working on the beach on a laptop and all that. Everybody thinks like everyone wants that to be an ideal lifestyle. Right, like if everyone's working on a laptop, I mean, who's going to be cooking the food? Who's going to be
right?
And a lot of millennials, it's like they want this lifestyle that is carefree, like everything is handed to you. But the thing is I think at the heart of every person, that's what we all want. We want something that's easy for everybody. But millennials just happen to be the generation right now that we're taking over the world. We're becoming police officers and getting into the government, and we're graduating college and stuff. And, and at this age, it's like people say you're supposed to have your life figured out right now. Right. But who's to say that you couldn't have it figured out when you're in your 30s or 40s, So I think there's a lot of pressure on millennials because it's like, you're no longer a kid anymore. Mm-hmm. And, but the thing is like all your childhood, you haven't been, not everybody, not all millennials, but I would just say most, they haven't been taught the things that they're supposed to know to go out into the world, to go out into the marketplace, to face the beasts in the market, and people giving you a bad attitude. Like, I've seen when I was working at Home Depot, I've seen some of my coworkers cry if a customer gave them attitude.
Male coworkers?
And male coworkers, actually.
What?
Yes. But the thing is so I look at millennials.
Really?
That's them at Home Depot. They're in the corner when somebody's giving them shit.
That's not nice.
I was like, where's that sound coming from? Is that God? No, okay. But yeah, so I think millennials, they're dealing with a lot because you haven't been taught the things that you're supposed to know.
Okay, you guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, I thought that
Somehow
was in here
they
again.
let the dog
No.
out and the doorbell is
Doggy,
ringing.
come
So
on.
hey,
Don't freak out.
welcome.
Well, that was. Hey,
Yeah,
you know
just
what?
let it know.
We're 44 episodes in, and that hasn't happened yet.
No, it has
So
not.
it's all
It's
good.
a sign.
We'll just keep going.
Hey,
Come here.
oh no, don't call her in
Don't
here.
come.
No,
Go to bed.
I know you
Then
like
she's
me.
just gonna bark.
I know you like. You're just hesitating to come over here because you want to get pet.
So
Go get her, babe.
no. All right. Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay.
You guys keep talking.
Okay.
Cool.
So, the thing of it though, when I see this and I see what's going on, I can't help but think that it's just the different parenting, because we're being taught and educated the same thing you guys were being taught and educated, at the school, like the books haven't changed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's interesting.
with them feeling, you said that, what was the word you used? Things handed to them.
Yeah. Like the. They want things just handed to them. They don't want to have to work for it. They want that easy laptop on the beach lifestyle. Is that the word? Or what I'm looking for?
I don't get it. I don't know, because I was working at the age of 14. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like nothing was
Really?
ever handed to
Holy
me.
cow, dude! I wish I was working at that age. I didn't think I never would have. See, the thing is when I was growing up, I didn't move out of my grandfather's house until I was 24. Because in my brain, I'm like, the idea of moving wasn't there.
See, that's so crazy. I moved out at the age of 13. I mean, 13, sorry, 18. As soon as I hit 18, I was out. I was done. And I never looked back.
Are you for real?
I never went
back. Did they
back.
kick you out?
No, I was peace out. Like I was out.
See, I wish I would have had that.
But a lot of millennials, that's not the case. Like they're living with their parents until they're, I don't know, man.
I know a guy.
Do you
I
see
ain't
what I'm
gonna say
saying,
his
though?
name, but you know who you are. He's like in his mid 30s,
Yeah.
living with mama and daddy. And the thing is like somebody would laugh at that, right?
Yeah.
But I look at him and I'm like, dude, like you weren't raised right, man.
So that's what you're saying. That's what I was trying to get
he's
to.
still
So
playing World of Warcraft and in parents' garage and stuff. And like,
See.
Okay, explain all that all over again.
I think that's on
I'm just
us
kidding.
though. I really do. I think that's on us.
yeah,
So Generation X, Gen X, the ones who raised the millennials,
yeah.
and they're now not liking how they're, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
They need to look in the mirror.
Generation
You know
X.
what? What's the name of Jocko's book? The first one? You remember?
No, I
Extreme Ownership.
don't. Oh, there you go.
Extreme
I've
ownership.
seen that.
And
Not
I
in
mean,
all
it's
cases,
a leadership
okay?
book, but I mean, yeah. And who is it? I think Adam Carolla on his podcast, he talks about your children are a reflection of you.
Oh, that scares me so bad.
So
Wow.
if you don't like what you're looking at,
Yeah.
these kids are a disaster.
Oh my God.
Yeah, think about that for a second.
That scares me. And I
And
always
I know
tell him our kids are so loud. And I told him it's because we're loud.
Yeah.
But we're like, we're not that loud. No.
I was actually going to say recently we haven't been, they've
we've been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They
you gotta,
chill.
you gotta, you gotta be careful.
I don't know though. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so many. It's probably not. I don't know. It might not just be bad parenting, but I think that's like a huge part of it. I don't know. It could be, the location where you're at. Maybe there's not.
I'm sure that contributes too.
Yeah, there's a lot,
But I'm sure the parents are the biggest influence
Yeah.
on their kids, because you can, if you have good parents and you grow up in a shitty neighborhood, I mean, your good parents, they can, if they're focused, if they're focused on their kids doing well,
right.
I mean, you're gonna learn the things that you need to learn to help your kids become successful. Now, that's not every case. Some kids are just, I mean, I don't know. They're their own people too.
Yeah.
Listen, back in the day, we used to get our asses spanked.
Yeah,
You can't do that today.
yeah.
That's what's wrong.
I got whooped.
That's me too.
Yeah.
No, for real. You did too.
Oh yeah.
So
I used to get whooped every night.
It worked
yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, do you see what I'm saying?
That's
though?
it.
Like I turned out okay. You turned out okay.
Everybody start whooping your
You know?
kids.
I mean, yeah.
But think about how much
Pause
has
this,
changed.
go give them a whooping, and then come back.
It's like, think about how much things have changed.
Well, a lot of the guy, like a lot of millennial men, or males. I think there's a difference between being a male and a man. But I think, do you know what I'm saying? Should
No,
explain
I
that?
started thinking about identifying as something. I don't know what that is. That what you're talking about? I don't know.
I think there's a different, like a lot of guys, they're just males. They've never became a man. They're just they go off of like, oh, the hot girl, go get her, try to hook up, and I just want to play video games. I don't want to work. You're a male, and then
I gotcha.
a man is like actually what you were saying, like trying to decide which problems you want to have. If you want to suffer this way of you don't work and then you end up in poverty, or do you want to, get to grinding and go out like that, becoming a man? Like one thing that I think with millennials, especially guys, is honestly, a lot of the guys that I hang out with are just sissies, like scared.
You're not going to have any more friends after this
Sissies.
podcast.
Well, I talk to them this way. I literally do. My friends, I don't know, they know.
You got to get them into that MMA stuff,
Yeah.
into jiu-jitsu.
But it's just for real, like, and my best advice that I could give to someone who like around my age, younger, it's like, dude, gain knowledge, like get wisdom, like treat it like it's like this is who's that guy who said when you're trying to he dunked some kid's head under the water and then the guy's trying to get air and he said just as bad as you want air you should want success or something like that.
I just saw that.
I don't remember who.
I think that's how we should be with like getting knowledge. Like, okay, let's say that your daddy didn't teach you how to get a job interview or how to do this, or whatever it is, how to start a business. Okay, teach yourself. Be like,
Man,
You have YouTube.
there is no
now.
excuse
Like,
for anything.
No.
there isn't.
No.
Everything is out there. There are books. There is YouTube.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, and especially like the younger generations, like they know how to get that.
Right.
If you really want it. That's one thing that I
Right.
know. Like people say they want things, but when it comes down to it, you don't really want it.
No, because you would go find it.
Because you would. You
You
would.
think
You'd
about
go
it.
look-
Yeah.
you'll
You know, that would be nice.
Look for the answer.
But when it comes down to the work part, it's like, nah, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm telling you, like I said, when we were doing the podcast, when I was making music, when I was like, there's things that you really want and you will figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's and you don't have to pay, like, because you always see advertisements for, hey, get your podcast started for, whatever. And I'm sure it will probably help your learning curve is to pay for a program and they tell you step by step exactly what to do. Do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yes.
But if you don't have the money for that, I didn't pay a dime to help for anybody to help me set up this podcast.
Yeah.
I just went from one video to the next video and pieced it all together to put it together because I really wanted to do it. And it wasn't just like a thought like, that'd be cool. That you got to get to work.
Yeah.
Innovation.
And that's what he said, get to work, because you can have all the knowledge. Like you could be full of knowledge. Dude, knowledge is not going to write this book.
Yeah.
You know what you need?
I was sharing with him earlier about the cover.
Uh-huh.
I was saying-
Yeah.
So I literally did this like in my apartment, like right near the wall. Got a big old black curtain, put it up behind me. Had my friend take a picture on my phone. Literally edit this on my phone.
Wow.
Put some lion eyes in there and put some words on there. All that stuff. Like literally, this is all done on a phone and on a laptop.
Get out
see
of
what I
here.
mean? Like,
that's so
if you
nuts.
really want it,
Didn't hire no professional.
you'll figure out how to do it.
Wow.
I mean, we were just talking about that before we started the podcast, like the logo for our podcast. I mean, we took the pictures
That
for
was
that
amazing.
on the door for the garage,
Yeah.
and then we sent that to get that turned into a logo. And we took the same thing. We
There's
took the
so
pictures with a
much.
cell phone.
Yep.
So there really is no excuse.
There really isn't.
And I think like I'm sure you guys probably talked about it while I was slapping kids and locking up dogs, but like millennials sometimes will get a bad rap about being lazy or whatever. But there are some millennials that I've seen,
amazing.
man, they hustle.
Yes.
They hustle their
Yes.
ass. I mean, we
Yep.
got one sitting with us
Right.
today,
Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about.
and that's
Yes.
You know, you remember? Yeah, one of them we both know, Lakey.
Lakey. I was just gonna mention his name.
That boy, dude, that guy. Man, I watch his stuff and I'm like, he motivate me, man.
Yep. We need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we'll talk to him.
So yeah, it's been amazing. And two, you know, we can't just blame the parents as well because hey, there's times in a lot of households, mom and dad have to work in order to put food on the table.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and so
it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it will correct itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with time, experience.
Yeah, because once the millennials become parents, once you guys become parents and start to recognize where we went wrong.
We need to start getting the millennials pregnant and having kids. Well, not we specifically. I'm talking about you guys out there.
All right. You better fix that.
Because things change once you start having kids. You know, like your mindset starts to change.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I don't know.
Wow. What's that like? You get your first kid. Where's your brain at?
I was excited.
When you find out.
I was ready.
Yeah. I was excited too.
I took a long time though. I took 31 years.
Really?
Yeah.
But it can be scary though, because you're like, at least sometimes they don't come at there never is a perfect time to have kids. I mean, I guess if you want to wait till the perfect time, then you might be a lot older.
Might be.
I made it for the perfect time.
Well, because if you're waiting for your career to be set up, like you got to graduate college, then you got to get your experience. You know, if you go to college or whatever. Like if you're doing a corporate thing, you got to go to college. But your degree is not really worth much, so you got to get that experience. So you got to get at least another few years of experience. Then you meet somebody, and then you're still paying off your student debt. So you don't want to bring in a kid to that. So then, how old are you going to be when you have a kid?
Oh, that's
you know.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
One of my friends, he's like in his mid 40s, and 2 kids. He said to me, because I was asking for advice when it comes to like marriage and stuff, because I haven't been with somebody in the past 5 years, but like he was saying to me, dude, Dequan, like if you want to have kids, right? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, how many? Like, maybe like 2, maybe 3. I don't know. He's like, if you want to have kids, have them as early as possible. I was like, really? He's like, you're in your 20s, have them early in your 20s, because then you want to be able to enjoy yourself after they grow up and move out, and then you don't want to be like, and I'm like, oh crap, dude.
Scaring the crap out of you.
He's like, I gotta look for someone right now.
It is true. I mean, that is something to think about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up and there was a friend of mine and he was younger than me. He was probably like 2 years younger than me. We would go to the park and we'd play basketball and handball and stuff. And then we would go to his house and like his dad would open the door and I'm like, he's like, that's my dad. I was like, you mean your granddad? He's like, no, that's my dad. I'm like, wow. What the hell? I mean, it was weird. Like I just wasn't used to seeing that, but it was funny. And then, you know, being a kid, you start thinking like, wow, he's going to be old as shit when he gets old, you know?
I mean, my grandfather, people thought he was my dad because my parents had me when, I don't even know, like they were 16.
Yeah.
So then, so people always thought my grandpa was my dad because he looked really young.
Yeah.
The only thing was he was bald. That was it.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
Man.
Told you.
So.
Told you. Black don't cry.
Black don't crack.
It's true. It's in the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
You never heard
Urban
that
Dictionary.
Yeah. So,
oh my goodness.
Man, we are an hour in.
We are an hour in.
Wow.
You know what? Before we get out of here, we got a voicemail, and our niece Serena left us a message. So we just wanted to play that real quick because she gave us a call. You can get that phone number ready.
Need the phone number.
And here it is.
Listen, Thea and Theo, your guys' podcast is the shit. It's super funny. So many people can relate to the different situations and topics that you guys talk about. I just listened to the most recent one, and I am completely weak about your guys' sling thing and about Nikki.
Really?
That is hilarious. But I also wanted to tell you guys, when I get people to subscribe to you guys when I'm doing Uber, first of all, I'm listening to your podcast while I'm driving, and the majority of the time, either they'll ask me what I'm listening to, or I will ask them if they like to listen to podcasts, and most of the time they do. And I just let them know, this is my aunt and uncle. They talk about, marriage life, work, kids, intimacy, like everything you can think of. And you guys are so raw and real about it, which makes it even more relatable for people. So, and people subscribe, and from what I've heard back, I mean, they love it. So you guys are doing really great, and I love your guys' podcast, so keep it up. Love you. Don't ask me what I'm listening to.
So thank you, Serena. Thank you so much.
She must have been driving.
Yeah, I think she was.
You can hear the wind blowing in her hair.
She was making that money.
She's so cute.
She was making that money doing the.
She's amazing.
Driving for Uber. But thank you so much, Serena. We got with her and left her some flyers, so she's gonna hand them out while she's driving.
Yes.
But we love you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And if you guys want to call into the podcast and you guys want to leave us a voicemail, take it off a speakerphone, and. Yeah, you can call us. Let us know how we're doing. If you have a question that you want to send us, if you got a topic that you want us to talk about, or if you guys want to tell us that we're completely wrong about everything that we're talking about, you guys have no clue what's going on, you can do that too. But you guys can leave us a message at
480-912-5128. Again, that's 480-912-5128.
Awesome. Thank you. And you guys can go to oppositesattractpod.com and you can click on the support the show link and you can purchase Dequan's book on Amazon. And we'll put a link to that in the video and the show notes for the podcast. And you'll also see Trust Inc., link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency. We work a lot with title companies, law firms, and individuals as well. So if you have a document that needs to be notarized, give us a call. We are also independent associates with Legal Shield, and what Legal Shield does is we give you access to attorneys at the palm of your hand for a small monthly subscription.
Awesome. And if people want to get a hold of you, Dequan, how can they do that?
Dude, get me on Instagram, Dequan.Washington. On Instagram. Anything else? Facebook, Twitter? You doing any of the other stuff? Yeah, I'm doing it all. You can look at me, Dequan Washington on YouTube, Dequan Washington on Facebook. Pretty much everything.
Wow.
Okay. Awesome. So make sure you guys hit him up. Yes. You can go to trustinkusa.com and you can find Trust Inc. there. And man, thank you for being with us.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, my first one, I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. First of many.
Yes.
So
it was amazing having you. Thank you for coming by and, sharing your experience, life, and expertise with us.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a great night. Bye.
Bye.